Hello everyone, I'm Tristan with the Gamers Tree, and welcome to a special edition of Pokemon Reborn. Matt, say hi.
Why do I have to, and why'd you drag me into this?
Today we are actually interviewing the creator of Pokemon Reborn, Amethyst. Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to the show.
Welcome to our show, and to my little slice of hell.
That's me.
Thank you for having me. I'm not sure why it's hell, though.
Yeah, I know. I have fun, especially for someone who hasn't played the game, Matt. So, do you want to start, Matt, with a question for our lovely guest?
Okay, my question is, this is just pretty basic. I noticed that some of the gym leaders' Pokemon were nicknamed. Do you have a reason behind that, or did you just throw that in there?
Yeah, they're gonna be, and it's only been a couple so far, but there will be more. Some of the leaders have nicknamed their Pokemon, because this game, the gym leaders are actually based off of an online league, and so, the gym leaders on there, we told them it was okay to name their Pokemon online, so I figured that with some of the more classic ones, I would recreate that in the game. For instance, the ones you probably saw were Shelly and Shade.
Mm-hmm.
Shelly had Heather because Shelly always nicknames all of her Pokemon after people who are important to her. For instance, Bugsy and Heather. Now, most of her Pokemon on the online league were actually challengers, and I didn't feel it was right to include random challengers as nicknames, so I discluded that for most of her Pokemon, but for like Yanmega and Volbeat, I definitely left those in. And you'll see that with later leaders, too. It's just whatever they've done online.
That is actually very, very good. Where did you get the idea that Bugsy had a sister? Because that was never actually confirmed in any of the games that any of the gym leaders actually had siblings. So, where did you get the idea for her to actually have Bugsy on her team?
God, it's been so long since we came up with Shelly's character. I know that she was never mentioned in anywhere in the anime or the games, but I felt like there was room there, and I wanted to draw it in, like, to somewhere else in the Pokemon universe, just to kind of give it that more complete feeling. I felt like Bugsy was an interesting character in that he was never really totally explored either in the games or the anime, and I could see him maybe having that darker side, because if you get to know Shelly better, and this is maybe more for the online people than in the game,
Probably.
but Shelly talks about how Bugsy is actually very neglectful to her, because he's always so obsessed with trying to be a better leader in reading. So I figure it would be interesting to have a character who could kind of play the same role as a real gym leader, Bugsy, and yet still have that darker plot of, like, living in his shadow, which makes her a really interesting character. She's one of the most popular leaders.
Yes, as she's also one of the most challenging gym leaders in my experience.
Just because you had a hard time doesn't mean you have to make it for everyone else.
True.
To be fair, he wasn't the only one that had a hard time with Shelly. She's something I'm going to be toning down in this next edition because I recently did a poll of how everyone felt about each leader, and she was by far rated as the most difficult.
Besides her puzzle being difficult, because you released a patch for the puzzle, as I seen, that made the puzzle easier. Or was that for that patch, or was that for a different leader? I thought that was because it was the books, so I think that was...
Her gym has been, like, forged from the fires of hell. Since I created it, it has had so many bugs and so many issues. I have not had remotely anywhere as near as many issues with anything else in the game as I have with her gym.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's, like, why she's a more difficult battle, like, as a symbolic element, but I've had to patch her gym, like, 6 or 7 times, to the point of basically redoing all the graphics in it.
Yeah.
So, that was nothing new, really.
Well, that's very good. Do you know all these gym leaders in real life? This is another question that I actually wanted to know, because you seem like as I was talking to you before, you said that Anna, one of the people that I'm very, very frightened of in the game because of how she acts, you said that you knew her and that she was completely different in real life.
Well, okay, I should clarify. When I say that I know her, I mean online. But there are several of the gym leaders that I do know in real life, unfortunately. Many of them you haven't met yet in the game, unfortunately. One of them that you have is Amaria. She's actually one of my best friends. And
Is she like she is in the game? Is she like as she is in the game?
yeah, kinda.
Yay. That's a person I'd like to meet then. 'Cause I love that character of the past.
So, I mean, some of them, yes, but most of them, when I say face-to-face, I mean when you're actually on the server, on our league, interacting with them, which is, possible. Emma's not scary, I promise you. She's just very creative. She sees the world differently.
I'm just very, very scared of that character based on what I've seen, but you say that she's going to be different later, or have a different opinion later, so I'll see at the end what my opinion is, but my opinion now is just she was, probably from what the Doctor did to her, who I also hate, but that's beside the point.
Well, you're supposed to hate the Doctor, so that's okay.
I always hate the Doctor, so...
I think everyone hates the Doctor.
Yeah, that's kind of true. He was the least popular when we took a popularity poll.
Well, he was supposed to be evil, so... What was your inspiration to create the game to begin with? Because, like, I understand that the game was made from your community. What inspired you to create the community that then later on became this game?
That kind of just happened. And by that I mean, when Diamond and Pearl first came out in 2007, we were, like, all so excited for that new Wi-Fi feature. So I had a bunch of different friends who played Pokemon still from around various communities online. And so I just threw up a little website, very tiny, didn't even have its own domain. I'm like, hey, we can all get together here and we can swap friend codes and we can do stuff. And we'll be cool. And it was cool. And then we kind of got tired of it. So it kind of died off. But later it came back, which is why it's called Reborn. That's why the community is called Reborn, because it kept dying and coming back. And then the league itself was actually what made the community what it is today. Because I went onto this Pokemon Online client, and I was like, I set up my own server so I could run this league. And the league was actually a promise to one of my other best friends. He and I no longer speak. We kind of had a falling out.
That happened.
But I promised him that I would make a little challenge for him, and it was a gym league that would have all 17 leaders, and they would be as hard as real people, because they would be real people, and it would be completely amazing. However, he and I stopped talking, so he actually refused to take my challenge. So I was just like, if you're not going to do this, I'm going to let everybody else do this, and then people just kind of stuck around.
And that. Yes, I have seen that. You actually have a lot of people challenging this league constantly, and which I actually have never done myself, because, of course, I can never build a team capable of taking on this league, which is fine. It will take time.
I am exactly the same way. People have seen my Pokemon teams on our split screen and co-ops.
Yeah.
And even in my single games.
Well, we've had some really unorthodox teams clear the league. Like, I mean, there's a whole competitive scene, and yeah, okay, if you use overused Pokemon, which are generally regarded competitively as the best, then you're gonna have an easy time. But I was amazed when one of my friends, she was also my in real life friend, and she was around when I first started the community in 2007, but she tore through our league with like the most random sets of Pokemon, and it was just because that's really what our league is about. It's about using what you like and learning how to use it in different ways and ways that work.
I just have an extension onto that. Could you give us some of the Pokemon she used and some of the movesets?
Yeah, actually, everything is in our Hall of Fame, so let me pull that up really quickly.
That's fine with
Okay.
me. I'll probably have that in the video.
What I'm actually looking at here is her third team, because she managed to beat the league 3 times.
Wow.
And so unfortunately, this is kind of after she honed her sets a bit. So it's not totally off the wall, but it is still not stuff you usually see. For instance, Empoleon is probably like underused. It's kind of a mediocre Pokemon, to be honest. But she's got that with a mixed set. In the metagame, you usually either go pure physical or pure special, so you can get more power. She's got Gengar with Sucker Punch. She has Tyranitar with the Elemental Fangs.
Ooh.
So it's just, things that
you would never
there
expect to
are
see.
better alternatives for, but she made them work because she knows how to use her Pokemon.
Well, that actually is very, very intriguing because it's all depending on the player's skill more than the fact it's not just the Pokemon, it's the player's skill itself.
Absolutely.
It's what's coming down to. Your ability to design and create teams. So what happens if they beat the league? Besides going in the Hall of Fame, does they get any special perks for beating the entire 17 gym leaders?
Yeah, actually, we have an ACE membership that we give out to our champions, and that's just kind of a side thing. It's like a higher status. I mentioned it to you earlier, actually. The people who beta test the game are actually ACE members.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to get it besides becoming champion. And then people who clear the league also get access to the X League. And the X League is basically, the hard mode of the league. And this is one of the ways that she beat the X League too. And it's basically whereas in our normal league, neither the challengers nor the leaders are allowed to use legendary Pokemon. But in the X League, the challenger gets a 7th Pokemon that can be legendary, and the leaders can also start using legendary Pokemon.
Wow. So they're allowed 7 Pokemon and they're only allowed 1 legendary. But how do you implement that in the game?
The legendaries by choice.
Yes, I know by choice, but so it's a 6-on-6 battle, but they're allowed to use a legendary. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant that they can use 7 Pokemon.
We actually will be seeing that in the game. Once I clear the main story, I will make the leaders rebattleable, and we will have their X League teams instead.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That I will look forward to. How long did it take you to create the game? Because I know it's based on RPG Maker, which, of course, I have looked at, and it is a very challenging program. But you're using Pokemon Essentials, right?
Yeah.
So how hard was it to create it?
Well, okay, I guess I should be clear. I've been working with RPG Maker since I was 11, so that's almost 10 years now.
Wow.
And I am pretty familiar with its ins and outs. Now, I found Pokemon Essentials through complete chance, not chance, I guess. One of my members pointed out a game, and that game was Pokemon Raptor, actually, and I found Essentials through Raptor. And so the next day I was like, let me fiddle around with this, and then 2 weeks later I released the first episode of the game. Mm-hmm. So it only took me 2 weeks to make all the content that you saw from the start of the game to beating Julia.
Which is amazing.
And that was like, I get obsessive with things. I can work pretty much wake to sleep for days in a row just because that's kind of how I work.
That's how you
work. But I have lots of things I can't speak. What is English? I have lots of other things going on too, like school and work and blah 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 blah. I'm running the website and the league in the first place, so I don't always get as much time to work on the game as I like, and I don't always take as much time to work on it as I would like. So really, since I've been working on this since about March, that is, I guess 9 months now, and I've got 5 episodes out. I guess that averages about to an episode every 1.5 months.
Which would be nice to see, but maybe not. But that would be nice to see.
Well, and I can actually reasonably keep up on that pace. I actually took all of November off because I needed to focus on some other stuff.
As if you look on her forum, you would see all that because.
Yeah.
Of course. All right.
I do have one question I want to ask.
That's what you're here for.
And this was also on Tristan's mind. The poison gym leader. Was there a certain background that you just wanted to make, or was he just or was he like everyone thought of and pitched in for an idea?
The poison leader.
The first one, when he dies, they want to know. He wants to know the background of, we understand why he died, but whose idea was it to have him do what he did instead of just accepting it.
It wasn't anyone's idea. He actually killed himself.
Oh, okay.
It was back in, I guess, November of 2010, I think. And he had been gone for some time, and Heather, who's no longer with our league, actually, which is why she's not a gym leader in the game. Not that that's always a correlation, but Heather was the leader at that time. And she had actually run away from home. Her father joined the league because he found out that that's where she was going, and he wanted to stay close, to keep an eye on his daughter, even though she left home. So I taught Corey how to play competitively. And after she was adopted by a person and a character who you will meet later, he decided that he was done because she had left him and he couldn't take care of her anymore.
So that was actually based on a real event.
He actually jumped off a bridge and he died on, I think it was November 6th, 2010.
Wow, that's actually a very sad moment, and you incorporated all that pain into the dark side of this game. Wow. I thought it was a made-up thing, but now I know it's real. That's very a sad moment that I wish I didn't bring up, but...
No, I guess it's important to realize it's important to honor him.
It is good, and that's kind of good that you did implement that so people can honor...
It didn't feel right not to.
It didn't feel right to have that...
On two levels. One, and this is callous of me to say, and I apologize, but something like that is golden for a plot, and I wasn't going to leave that out. But more importantly, for those of us who are around and knew him personally, we know that we're never going to speak to him again, and for those of us who would play this game, I don't think we could play with Corey in the game any other way.
Yeah, that's very good to know.
Wow.
Do we actually get to battle Heather? Is my kind of question. Will we ever get a chance to actually battle her in her salamence?
You will. Yes.
That's good, because I'm looking for
patience, though. That won't be for quite a long time, and you'll find out why later.
It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's the fact that I do want to battle her. I've wanted to battle her since I've seen her, so... That her
Heather was one of the most challenging leaders that we ever had. We rank all of our leaders by approximately how strong they are, and Heather originally started out at rank 4, which is very low, 4 or 17, and then she shot up to number 16.
Holy.
Wow.
That must be a very challenging person.
For an 8-year-old girl, she was terrifying.
Well, that 8-year-old is the time to kick everyone's ass.
I guess.
And take the world by storm. Almost.
Will we ever find out, like you mentioned in the story, that every gym leader has an alternate? Will we ever find out? We've only found out 2 alternates so far. Will we ever find out who any of the other alternates are? Will you implement, actually battling the alternates into the game?
There are some cases in which that's true. Actually, I can tell you some of that now because it won't be officially revealed in the game. But the reason the alternate thing happened is because we actually had a point in our league history where we lost most of our leaders. And so when I was looking at how to make this game, I wasn't sure how to incorporate everybody. For instance, Sigmund, the doctor, he's currently our electric gym leader. Julie is no longer with us. But I chose to make Sigmund not a leader for this purpose of the game because I could fit him in as a villain elsewhere.
Yeah.
So some things like that, if there was going to be an alternate for the electric type, it would be Sigmund. And you'll see that sort of thing recurringly.
Which will be good to see.
There is one more alternate who will be mentioned, and you're going to find out about that probably in the next episode or 2. But other than that, probably they won't be explicitly stated.
Alright, well that's kind of one... I know you probably wouldn't want to do this, but if you had the chance to, would you make an anime of your game? Would you make an animation, a plot? Would you do it? I know it would be hard to recurse some of the things that have happened, but if you had the opportunity to, would you?
Okay, well, I have to think about this in a couple different ways. If we're assuming that I'm not going to get busted for copyright, etc.
Let's assume Nintendo was behind us. Let's say that I got up so high
you could possibly need to make this an anime.
And I had a way to pull strings, and it happened. Would you? Is the question.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
That's good to know. Because I know a lot of games, I love a lot of the fan-made games, everything that use RPG Maker, because I like seeing the creativity of people. So by seeing all the creativity, some of these things, yours has one of the most original stories, and I could picture it as an animation.
Well, and that's great, because actually one thing I've really tried to do is incorporate a lot of the things that kind of make the anime feel like the anime, and that I feel like the main series games are actually missing. Those things, when you fight the Scrafty gang in the slums, that was just that has no relevance to the story at all, to be completely honest. It was just something that I felt like, if I were making an episode of the anime and the party was traveling through the slums, what kind of antagonistic force will we have to make this episode interesting? And so I throw those things in there when I can.
Which is what I've noticed by Sky. I've noticed here, I'm looking at some of the screenshots, I noticed that you changed the amethyst art from what looks like to be the original game to what it is now. Why did you change it from the person that had black wings to what she is now?
That's an interesting question. It's actually just a matter of the fact that my persona changed, and so I wanted to represent it in a different way. And in the next episode, I'm actually changing the name flat out, because I feel like having Amethyst with me as the creator and Amethyst as a character and an Amethyst as the seal of the Beyond is all really confusing. So, it's all kind of just a work in progress.
Ah, I see. So we actually want to know more
There's
about...
actually one thing I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
When you had the electric gym leader the first time, so, her specialty wasn't electric moves per se, it was more of explosions. Is there a reason behind that?
That was just how her character was online. She was very off the wall, hence her, random phrase like Jim and wee and boom.
And boom!
So, I just wanted to make the booms, which were really her signature thing, kind of more alive in the game.
And it was definitely more
They were alive for sure.
They were alive. And
yeah.
One of my favorite characters was booming things. Alrighty, so we got that done. We actually want to know more about you, like your background behind all this. What's your complete background, if we can ask?
Well, I am 20 years old currently. I am a student of psychology at the University of Colorado, Denver. I'm studying psychology, but that isn't really my main area of interest. I mean, I would much rather get into game design or music or writing or art, because I do a lot of the music and the art and obviously the writing for this game too. So if I could make a career out of any of that, or even just like my website, that would be fantastic. In the meantime, I'm just studying psychology, like as a backup career, because I can't really count on those things, and what's a degree in game design really going to do? So...
Make people happy?
Degree into game design can actually go far.
Yeah, I realized that after I said it. I usually say that with theater, but theater isn't exactly relevant here. I started out as a theater major, because I also do acting.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, really, I'm not the most interesting person. I mostly stay to myself in my room and work on stuff.
That's the same with me, so there you go. Your badge designs, you designed all those badges yourself, or did the leaders design them?
I did all the badges myself. Funny thing, actually, and you won't see currently most of the badges in the actual game, because the space on which I can put them is smaller than the space in which they were originally designed. I made those badges when I first made that promise to my best friend, which was like, God, it had to have been 7 years ago now, and finding those, and that I had already designed them, was part of what inspired me to go ahead and finish making the league anyway. So half of them I don't remember making, to be perfectly honest. I had no idea I even had them. And then the newer ones, like for characters like... Well, you guys actually haven't fought any of the Season 2 leaders yet. But if you saw Sigmund's badge, for instance, that's one of the ones that I made recently. Anyway, it's not the leaders that make them.
Oh, well that's the question.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of got sidetracked.
That's completely fine. Backstory is, of course, well indeed. The favorite aspect that I have is that it's the dark side of Pokemon, and that actually makes me happy that someone actually brought out the dark side of this, because we're used to playing all these ooey gooey lovey games.
That people are nice and don't actually try to throw Pokemon off of bridges.
Which is what's Matt wondering. Matt's wondering why they want to try to throw things off bridges when...
And I think that's something that is really neglected. I'm like kind of a gothy person myself. My sense of humor falls slightly more towards the macabre than most, but I wanted to really make this a darker game because it's kind of actually completely tragic if you consider the amount of money that Nintendo is practically throwing out the window by not doing something like this. I mean, how epic would it be if you had a game like Skyrim or Assassin's Creed, but with Pokemon?
I would actually enjoy it.
I would probably play that game.
So
Exactly, and I think so would a lot more people than we currently have playing the Pokemon series, and it's totally silly of Nintendo not to do that, or at least a Pokemon MMORPG. But, you know, that's their cup of tea.
So
Whatever.
in
I'm
other
just
words-
capitalizing on a niche that they've left open.
So in other words, if Nintendo paid you and gave you full copyrights to continue making this game when you were on it full time, you would. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good to know.
That is actually really interesting.
Because why I started the video series is because when I was looking up, trying to figure out some of the gym leaders and knowing their teams ahead of time, research, I couldn't find nothing. So I liked your game and decided to make it a video series, which of course is popular.
Yeah, it's been relatively unknown. It was actually, you know, I didn't even post it on Poke Community, which I believe is where you found it, isn't it?
Nope, I found it through your actual site yourself when looking
Oh.
up
Well, that's cool.
games. So
But yeah, I think it's only getting a little bit more exposure now because I finally decided to post it there, where people are a lot more open to things. Before, it was pretty much limited to whoever came across Pokemon online.
which is
So there hasn't been much.
there hasn't been much, but hopefully now that people can get hints and because of the videos that I create, hopefully people that can get hints and stuff will now want to play it more. That's what I'm trying to hopefully see
Yeah,
out of
hopefully.
this.
And hey, more people playing means more feedback, which means I can make a better game. Like I said, I told you this before, but I'm already implementing... Actually, I've just finished today implementing a lot of changes that I decided to make based on watching your videos.
Which is really good. That's the reason why I wanted to get a hold of you and do the interview to begin with, is because I wanted your feedback on what I was doing. I actually wanted your permission to begin with to make the video series, but I decided that I would talk to you if I found anything happening, because usually I don't do without permission. I won't go out make money off your stuff without permission, which I don't
Right.
make money from the video series anyways, but
Yeah,
I needed
but
like permission. Theoretically.
No, I get it. And, you know, it's an LP. It's cool. There have been several of my members around the community who have threatened to do one, but, you know, after seeing your videos, I'm kind of considering doing one myself, just maybe like as a kind of walkthrough.
There you go. Threatening
That
to
That
do
would
it.
actually
We'll see.
be really cool.
People threatening to do it. You don't threaten to do it. You do it or you don't. That-
Well, they haven't.
Well,
so we'll
I
see.
have, because I searched YouTube first and I didn't find anything. So I figured take advantage of this unknown game, this unknown publisher, get her word out, get my word out, and make an amazing game off the collaboration of both the community of YouTube and the community of the page.
All right.
Which is
Sounds like a plan.
which is what it's trying to turn out to be. But I'm not generally saying I'm not like the most popular YouTuber on earth, but I'm not claiming that I ever will be, but it's just what it is. If people look up
It's a
Pokemon
start.
when people look up Pokemon Reborn, my videos would be the first ones to show up because they're the only ones. So
Yep, true. I saw some of the other users commenting that you were the only one doing an LP, and I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't even thought to look. So this was kind of like out of the blue for me when you came and messaged me. So I was like, what? Okay.
what? Well, it's because I found a problem. I needed a solution to that problem, being the crash in the gym, and couldn't get a hold of you on your forums because as I was flagged apparently for being a bot, which was fixed now. But
Yeah, I decided you were a spam bot, and our thing is really stupid about that, despite all my best efforts and paying for a specific subscription to stop that. But anyway, just as a general message to any other players who might be watching this, if you find any bugs or errors or crashes, please, I hope you can tell just by hearing me talk, I'm not going to bite your face off. Come talk to me. I'm on the server. I'm on the forum. I try and improve accounts and de-spam people kind of regularly. So, come talk to me. I will try and help you work through it. You know, there are lots of times I take your save file and fix it for you, even if it's just specific for your issue, because I want people to be able to play this, and I know it's super frustrating for players when they encounter issues. So, you know, I'm not an evil person. I will work with you.
instead of bugging at me with your problems that I have no power to fix, which does end up being the case. So now you know that you should talk to the person that owns it and not the person that's doing it. Because if you
Yeah, and if you need the address for the site, is it okay if I say it? I don't want to be advertising.
go right ahead.
Yeah, you can.
You can advertise all you
Okay,
want.
yeah. It's and I guess you guys could probably put this in the description of the video too, but
Well,
http://w not three slashes. Anyway, it's www.poke-place.com. And you'll find everything for the game in the forums and the blah 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 blah.
And the
there.
download link and everything else, yes. which I've actually inspired people to play it because first couple of episodes I made, I had "Where did you get it?" So
Yeah.
which would actually make
So
me
that was
happy.
cool.
So, can you give us any hints for what players can expect from episode 6? Like without spoiling the plot, can you besides the trailer that we've seen at the end of episode 5, can you give us any more feedback of what
That people
we're
haven't
gonna
seen on
experience?
YouTube.
Yeah, well, and I told you this before personally, but I'm actually going through and kind of rebalancing the whole game so far, so many of the things that you'll have seen in the Let's Play to this point might get changed a little bit, and that's probably mostly going to be in, the levels of the Pokemon that you're fighting, because I realize the curve of the levels is kind of wonky as is, especially around some of the gyms. So I'm balancing that out to make it, to make it, more even. That's one thing. So players who have played the previous episodes might find themselves just a little bit over-leveled. Aside from that, I'm redoing a little bit of graphic stuff in a couple areas. I'm currently, as in half an hour ago, I'm redoing the city music to make it less monotonous, because that's you hear it so often.
Yeah.
It needs to be more interesting. So I just finished the first track for that. And then obviously the next content section, which will actually feature the player finally going outside of Reborn City.
Woo! Finally.
Finally.
Any new gyms that we can expect? Can we?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Any what?
Any new gyms? Can we expect any new gyms? Because currently you have 5.
Yeah.
Only 4
Oh,
badges.
of course there will be a new gym. Of
Well,
course.
there we go.
It's 1 gym per episode, so yeah.
Well, then there we go. Are you going to have all 17 gyms in the game? Is another question, because you're only allowed.
Wow, that's actually...
I've only seen, because you only can put 8 slots, but I'm figuring.
Oh, no. You underestimate me on Padawan. Use the Force and you can expand your mind so much further.
Pretty much. That's what I was just about to say. Because since you're not using code and stuff, you will be able to actually do it because of RPG makers.
Yeah,
Has no limitation.
17
it's based on
gyms,
skills.
no problem. There's actually only going to be 16 releases in total. I have everything mapped out because, some things will happen. But there are going to be a couple times where you fight several gyms in a row. But for now, it's pretty much 1 gym per release.
In other words, a lot of work for the person that's doing the episodes, namely me. 16 episodes.
You'll be okay.
16 episodes meaning a
You've made it this
Hopefully.
far. You're
ton
good.
of videos, which will be fun for me to do, which will happen. What's your thought on other people? If they were to get into it, where can they start? Where would they start if they wanted where to begin? If they were to begin, let's say they wanted to make a game or a community. What's the bottom line? Where do you start?
Oh, okay. Alright, well, these are 2 different questions. So let me talk about the community first. To make a community, and this is God. I started my first online community when I was 12, which is probably not normal. So that actually got a decent amount of people, and if I can do it when I was 12, you can do it. That's the bottom line. It takes a lot of patience, though. It takes the work and dedication to put into it, and to really kind of carry that community yourself from its infantile stages to, where we have pretty much 80 people online at any given time. So, when I first started doing League and doing Reborn, I was literally putting in probably 18 to 20 hours a day. And it was something I really enjoyed doing, so I didn't mind. It was only after I got help doing it, and I don't want to go back to putting in 20 hours a day to that. No offense, guys, but
20 hours is a long time.
So it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and energy and patience, especially. You can't really rush the whole, why don't I have more members yet? We've got all this content. And I guess the other thing is content. I tried to make sure that, a lot of forums set up, and they're just like, hey, we're a forum, come post on us. But they didn't really have a reason for anyone to post on them because, there's no members there for a community. And even if there were members, why would you join a community if you don't really know anyone unless there's an explicit reason? So by having people sign up to do League, that's how we kind of snowballed our community. It was a concrete reason for them to be there. For making a game, it's going to sound silly for me to say this, but it's absolutely true. The biggest thing you need to do is practice, because practice is crucial for any kind of art. And there are a lot of people who might argue with me about game design being art, but it really is.
It is art.
So when you're drawing I imagine most people here have tried drawing at least once in their lives. You have this beautiful image in your head, and then you put it on paper, and it's like, oh my god, what am I even looking at?
Exactly. Namely my
and
drawing.
it takes a lot of practice to develop, firstly, the technique, the shading, to draw the convexes and concaves correctly. That's one thing. It also takes practice to really clarify those ideas in your head and put them in a form that you can put in a physical media, like a paper, or in this case, a game. And that creative intelligence takes as much practice and exercise as anything else. So if you want to get into making a game, find some kind of programming language or some kind of client or engine, like I'm using RPG Maker XP, and really get familiar with it, because most people, if they're using Essentials, like, it's a great program, but they will not be able to put out a demo in 2 weeks. I was able to because I had no life growing up, like, no offense to anyone, although I guess, like, actually that's mostly offensive to me, so no offense me. I had no life growing up, and I just worked on RPG Maker all day, so I already know this program in and out. That's why I'm able to do these sorts of things with it pretty much effortlessly. But I've tried to teach people how to use it, and, there's a lot to really get used to. So if you want to make a game, figure out your ideas, figure out how to use a program, not necessarily RPG Maker, but just whatever you want, learn it inside and out, and just be really patient with yourself as you go through the development process. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Which is all that's insightful, because for people that don't know, RPG Maker actually is one of the easiest programs to actually learn, as I apparently am told. Because learning stuff like, let's say, for example, C++ can take years, and colleges teach you C++ for that sake.
Okay, I have, like, the C++ book. I tried to learn programming because I was like, I'm going to grow up. I'm going to use real programming languages. I'm going to get off of this RPG Maker XP stuff and actually make games for real. And so I opened this giant C++ Bible that's, like, probably 500 pages, and I read the first 30 pages, and then I was asleep.
Exactly.
So,
like I said, it takes colleges to learn
Can
stuff.
I borrow that book?
If I still had it, I would totally send it to you.
I had the C++ book. Yeah, it's freaking huge. I also have C++, the older C++. So yeah.
No, I just want something to put me to sleep fast.
Oh.
I think we could probably find a better way.
There is. There's a lot better ways. So wait, you're a musician, game maker, and community manager. Wow, you do a lot. That's all I can say.
I do a lot. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. That's the bottom line.
There you go.
And that is
But you make a lot
I
of
find really
intriguing?
amazing in most cases.
So do I. That's actually amazing that she writes the music for the game, does the game, and runs this whole community at the same time, because, yeah, that's impressive.
Well, I have to be clear about the music, because most of that music is not written by me. I have written some of it, like the city music, and I'm writing more of it as we speak, but most of the battle themes and most of the overworld themes are actually from Glitch City. That's a YouTube channel. She does these awesome remixes of Pokemon music, and you should totally check her out.
Another link that I have to post in the description, I guess, which is fine.
Yeah, it's Glitch X City. So, but I can send that to you if you need it.
You have permission to use that music, right? You can't just go and steal people's music, because that's wrong. You have permission, right, to use their music?
Yeah, no, I got permission from her, and from what I've seen, she's totally cool about stuff. You just ask for stuff, but I've never seen her decline anything. Like, you see people asking in comments, hey, can I use this music for an AMV, or, for whatever, and she's always like, yeah, go for it. So, ask her, but I'm pretty sure she'll say yes.
In other words, you have to give her credit, because credit is, of course, the best thing on earth.
Well, yeah, definitely. I don't know about the best thing on earth, but definitely give her credit.
Well, credit gets you farther in life.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if this is still true, but what I was reading on the forums is that you came across some tough times. How many of the community actually supported you, through your tough times? I don't know if this is still the case or not.
By that I think you mean financial tough times?
Yeah, well, like I said,
I lost my job over the summer.
Yes, again, all that was on the forums, and I'm not sure how many people actually supported you.
It was enough that I didn't starve. That was really important to me, and I thank everybody who did, and everybody who wanted to but couldn't. I understand that.
It still does support.
Yeah, I sold Sprite customs pretty much over the summer, and accepted donations through the site, and that was my job. And that was cool. I would like to live like that normally, but...
you can't.
That wouldn't be fair to anyone, so... I have a job again now. It's all good. My community definitely came through for me, so thank you guys.
And is there a way that people, let's say, wanted to help you out and donate? Is there a way they can still do that?
Yeah, of course. If you go on the website, there is actually a donation link at the bottom of every main page site, and there's also one actually on the game, a special one on the game page itself.
Because yeah, some people should support this game. This game is amazing, people.
From what
And
you
think of
played.
it like this, guys. The more you donate, the less I have to spend hours working, and thereby, the faster I can create this game.
Which comes in
Yeah,
handy.
yeah.
Because trust me, let's say if I had $1,000, I would give her $1,000.
Oh, that means a lot.
But it's
That
because
would be amazing.
it's because when you enjoy a game, you want to help the community. You want to help the game grow by any means necessary. Which is the reason why I did the video series to begin with, and why I will keep on doing it. Because I enjoy myself playing it, people enjoy watching it, and it makes the creator happy to see it. So here you go. It pleases everybody. Alright, so I guess it's been like 40 minutes. Yeah,
Goodness.
40
So it
minutes.
has.
Alright, so I guess
We were just winging this.
well, winging it, we did very well. So thank you, Amethyst, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And
It was very nice having you.
And if you'll probably hear from her again, because since now I actually can talk to her through Skype, you may hear from her when episode 6 comes out, because I may play episode with her background if she would enjoy it.
That might
If
be
she-
interesting.
So we'll see
okay.
we'll see everyone in the next
Sounds like
project,
she's on board.
and we'll see everyone in a later project. So adios, everybody.